No fever, no shortness of breath, just a little sore
Okay.
throat, and a little coughing. But I'm gonna get tested today.
Okay. Swabbing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just Gurudev,
yeah. I mean, whatever it is, it's just very minimal.
just to give you heads up on that, Gurudev, I got tested 2 weeks before. The nasal swab experience is a nightmare.
I know. I heard about that. And did you have the virus or no?
No, I got it tested at the UNC and I came up negative.
That's good.
Yeah.
Happy to hear you'll be around with us for a little while longer. Okay, so we got a minute and a half, and we're gonna start. It's nice to see everybody. We're gonna get other people will join as the time goes on. And we got Jayanti here, Nalini Khan, Krishna Chandra, even though it's late and he's not going to be able to wake up early. Uh, Nitai Pod and Adi Guru. You're in Chapel Hill right now, Adi Guru, right?
Yes, Gurudev. Yes, Gurudev.
Okay, that's good. Okay, let's see. We're also live on Facebook. Anyway, it's good to see everybody. And we're going to continue doing these sorts of classes in the future, too, even when we can go to the temple, because I think it's very good to be able to interact with the devotees in such a nice way. And I'm at Govinda Kund right now, as you can see, right next to
Yes,
Govardhan
Guru.
Hill.
Take it.
Okay, okay, we got a few people. All right, so I think it's time to start chanting Jai Radha Madhava. All right. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Jana Pallava Giribharadhari Gopi Jana Malaba Giribharadhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Manachari Yamuna Tera Manachari Jai Hurad Amadhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radhamad Hahuva Kunda Bihari Gopi Jana Malabha Giribharadhari Gopi Jana Malabha Giribharadhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tera Manachari Yamuna Tera Manachari Jai Hurad Hamadava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radhamad Ava Kunya Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Gopi Jana Malabha Giribharadhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Hurat Amadhava Kunya Bihari Jai Radhamad Ahuva Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravidikacharya also Teta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chananada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Go Bhagavata Sayam Kun Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturam Ki Jai Jagadasami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Srimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Sama Veda Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari 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 Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Go Ranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari 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 Bo. All right. So we are going to continue our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Just let me set this thing up. And here we go. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, 16th chapter, text 25. And those of you who have the Bhagavatam in front of you can follow along. That's 10, 16, 25. And we're reading about Krishna dancing on the heads of the Kaliya serpent. Very interesting. Rasika, nectarian, wonderful story. Okay. And we're going to discuss some interesting things that you may not have heard before about Kaliya. Of course, the other day we did talk about how Kaliya was actually a devotee from his past life and how Kaliya is a devotee now in Fiji protecting the devotees. So we're going to mention some more things about Kaliya. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'll just read first, and then we'll go word by word, synonyms, and then translation and a small purport. Satam Jivoya Dwi Shikoya Parilelihanam Dwe Shikvani Hiati Karala Vishangni Drishtim Kridhanamum Parisasara Yata Kagendro Paramaso Pi Avasaram Prasamik Shamanaha. Okay. Tam Jivaya Dvishikaya Parilelihanam Dvishikvaneyati Karala Vishagni Drishtim Kridanamum Parisasara Yataka Gendro Brahma Sopyas Sop Yavasaram Prasamikshamaha Tam Jivaya Dvishikya Parilelihanam Dveshvikvani Yati Karala Vishagdi Drishtim Kridanamum Parisasara Yataka Gendro Brahma Sopya Vasaram Prasamikshamaha Tam Jivaya Dvishikya Parilelihanam Dvishvikvane Yati Karala Visagni Drishtim Kridanamum Bhujisatsara Yataka Gendro Ramama Sopya Vasaram Prasamikshamaha. Okay, and now we will go on to the word by word synonyms. So again, this is 10, 16, 25. Tam, him, Kaliya. Jivaiha, with his tongue. Dvishikaya, having 2 points. Parilelihanam, repeatedly licking. Dve, his 2. Shikfane, lips. He, indeed. Ati Karala, most terrible. Visha Agni, full of poisonous fire. Drishtim, whose glance. Kridan, plain. Amum, him. Parisasara, moved around. Yata, just as. Kaga Indraha, the king of birds. Garuda. But Brahma wandered about around. Kasaha Kaliya. Api also. Avasaram, the opportunity to strike. Prasamikshamanaha, carefully looking for. So translation. Again and again, Kaliya licked his lips with his bifurcated tongues as he stared at Krishna with a glance full of terrible, poisonous fire. But Krishna playfully circled around him, just as Garuda would play with a snake. In response, Kaliya also moved about looking for an opportunity to bite the Lord. I'll repeat it again. Again and again, Kaliya licked his lips with his bifurcated tongues as he stared at Krishna with a glance full of terrible, poisonous fire. But Krishna playfully circled around him, just as Garuda would play with a snake. In response, Kaliya also moved about, looking for an opportunity to bite the Lord. So, purport by the servants of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada did not translate this particular and comment on this particular portion of the Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna moved around the serpent so skillfully that Kaliya could find no opportunity to bite him. Thus, the snake was defeated by Krishna's transcendental agility. Very, very interesting. So, again, the verse. Tam jivaya dvishikya parilelihanam dveshikvane yatikarala visagni drishtim kridanamum parisasara yataka gendro Rama sopyabasasaram prasamikshamaha. So, Omagana Timiranda Sha Gananjana Shilakaya Chaksurun Meditam Yena Tasmai Shi Gurave Namaha. So, several points here that are mentioned by the Acharyas. It's described in this particular verse that Krishna that Kaliya licked his lips with his bifurcated tongue. So Kaliya wanted to show Krishna that he had a better tongue than him. He had more tongues. So he was very proud. This is part of Kaliya's pride. In fact, Kali was actually thinking that he wanted to curb down Krishna's pride because he thought Krishna was proud. In fact, Krishna is proud. There's no problem with that because Krishna has a right to be proud. Uh, as they say in English, a pauper, an ordinary person, is proud of his penny. In other words, we're proud of something that's so insignificant. Uh, we mentioned the other day that one can become proud of his beauty, his money, his family heritage, Janmaishwarya Shrutasha Shivir, or his strength, but it's insignificant in relationship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is Bhagavan. He has all these opulences in full, complete, unlimited. Whereas we have whatever opulence we have, and not much, we have a very, very tiny degree, and it's lent by Krishna. That's really the point. Let me just check this one thing on the internet, make sure the Facebook is going well. Yep, it is. So it is lent by Krishna, and then Krishna can take it away. Krishna does take it away. Krishna takes away our through his time factor, Kalena Sarvatra Gavira Ranghasa, which is very deep. Krishna takes away everything. So, anyway, so Krishna has a right to be proud. He has a right to be an egotist. Like there's that story when Krishna looked at a reflection of himself uh, in a lake. He actually thought, oh, who is this beautiful person? And also, Krishna wanted to see himself not only in a reflection in a lake, but Krishna wanted to see himself through the eyes of his beloved, that's Radharani. So Krishna actually uh, took the mood of Radharani as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so he could appreciate his own beauty. That's egotistical. Just like nowadays, of course, people do these things with the telephone called selfies. And there's so many apparati, that's plural apparatus, in case you hadn't figured that out. There's so much apparati for actually doing selfies. There's selfie sticks, and you can even get a quadcopter, these little tiny copters. And one of the main purposes of those copters is so you can take a picture of yourself. So Krishna, he likes to take pictures of himself. And actually, there's this story in the Vidagdha Madhava. I'm sorry, Lalita Madhava, how Krishna and Radharani, when they were in this place called New Vrindavan, not in the United States, but Nava Vrindavan, in close to Dwarka, there was constructed a replica of Vrindavan. There was constructed a Vishwakarma. How Krishna and Radharani, they were looking at pictures of their youthful pastimes. So Krishna is an egotist, but he has a right to be because he has a big ego. And whereas we don't have a right to be because we are insignificant. Whatever you're proud of is insignificant. I remember when I went to the university many years ago that I had a very nice sports car and I was very proud of that sports car. I would drive it around with it. It was an MG. I don't know if they still make MGs now, but I would drive it around, wave to everybody, and think, "Oh my God, how wonderful I am." So anyway, so Kali was trying to curb down the pride of Krishna, and Krishna was trying to curb down the pride of Kali. So who won? Krishna won. And it's described. This is very interesting. Not there. It's not in the Bhagavatam, but it's the Acharya's commentaries that Krishna actually entered into the mouth of Kali and came out again. It's not there in the Bhagavatam. It's in the Acharya's commentaries, which I consulted, particularly in Nanda Brindavan Champu and the Gopal Champu. Nanda Brindavan Champu is Kavi Karnapura's work, and the Gopal Champu is the work of Jiva Goswami. So anyway, so Krishna actually entered into the mouths of Kaliya also to increase the anxiety on the parts of the residents of Vrindavan. So you may think that Krishna was actually very cruel in doing that. Why didn't he just take care of the Kaliya serpent immediately? And Balaram also in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita says to Krishna, what are you doing? You're going to kill these residents of Vrindavan. They're not just your ordinary devotees. So just stop this immediately. Because Balaram understood Krishna's superlative position, whereas the other residents of Vrindavan did not understand Krishna's position. Also, we mentioned the other day that Kaliya never really touched Krishna in this instance because Krishna was covered by a covering of Yogamaya. Yogamaya actually covered him, so Kaliya was never able to touch him until Kaliya became purified, and then Krishna danced on his hoods, which you're going to read about in the next verse. So, another point is that Garuda is used here as an example in this particular verse. Krishna playfully circled around him, just as Garuda would play with a snake. So Garuda is known as someone who is very agile and strong. And so this example is used in other cases too in the Bhagavatam when Krishna is playing with demons to kill them. Now it's interesting. One thing I've actually realized, anyway, it's my own understanding. I can't quote the acharyas on this. Is that this is one of the few instances in Vrindavan where Krishna actually played with a demon before killing him. If you think about the other demons that Krishna killed in Vrindavan, generally he just like smashed them, like the Keshi demon. Boom! There's no playing around with them. I would say 99% of the demons in Vrindavan, Krishna doesn't play with them. I mean, of course, you have Putana. Krishna didn't play with her. He accepted her as mother, but he didn't play with her. And this is also interesting because in many of the pastimes of Krishna dealing with the demons outside of Vrindavan, Krishna plays with them. For example, one thing I just wanted to read a few verses about how Krishna played with, in the form of Nrsingadev, Krishna played with Hiranyakashipu, like Garuda or like a cat. Sometimes Prabhupada would use the example of a cat playing with its prey. When I was very young, of course, I was brought up in a Malecha family, and we had pets. And one of the pets was a cat. And some of you may have had cats when you were young. Some of you, of course, in India now, people are. I was listening to a class at Prabhupada said that in India now people are keeping dogs too. And when Prabhupada was walking on Juhu Beach, there were actually like very sophisticated, rich Indians walking with their dogs. I mean, just like somehow or that's rasa bas to see an Indian person with a dog. I mean, a Western person is it's kind of like that's life, but to see an Indian person like loving a dog, it's just like, oh my God, what's happening? The whole world is going to hell. So anyway, we love dogs, but not in our house. Love all living entities. Certainly, we don't kiss the animals. My brother, he used to kiss his pets in the mouth. That's a different thing. So anyway, so we had a cat, and the cat would regularly catch things. And because I was the cat's master, the cat would bring back offerings for me. Bring back its offerings, dead birds and things like that, thinking it was offering to me the best thing that it had. Just like Prabhupada's early disciples, they would offer sometimes to the deities blue jeans because they thought that's the best thing, offering to Krishna the best thing you have. So the cat would offer anyway. So, but the cat would play with its prey and would let it go, and then the prey, of course, doesn't mean I'm praying to Krishna. Prey means the things you're going to attack. So it would let it go, and then it would come back, and then we'd grab it again and let it go again. And the cat was having such a good time enjoying this. So I'm going to read something from the seventh canto of Srimad Bhagavatam of how Krishna, in the form of Nrsimha Bhagawan, uh, played with Hiranyakashipu. And this is so interesting. So this is just 5 verses here, 7, 8, 25 to 29. Thereafter, the great demon Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry, swiftly attacked Nrsingadev with his club, and began to beat him. Lord Nrsingadev, however, captured the great demon along with his club, just as Garuda might capture a great snake. So uh, Garuda is mentioned here again, which is interesting, like Krishna's activities in dealing with the demons is oftentimes compared to Garuda dealing with a snake. So, next one. O Yudhisthira, O great son of Bharata, when Lord Nrsingadev gave Hiranyakashipu a chance to slip from his hand, just as Garuda sometimes plays with a snake and lets it slip from his mouth, the demigods who had lost their abodes and were hiding behind the clouds for fear of the demons did not consider that incident very good. Indeed, they were perturbed. So, of course, this is very similar to Krishna playing with the Kaliya serpent, that it actually perturbed the demigods and actually perturbed the residents of Vrindavan simultaneously. And I'm going to explain why that happened, why Krishna wanted to perturb the residents of Vrindavan and perturb the demigods. I'm going to talk a little bit about Ras theology later on. The next one. When Hiranyakashipu was freed from the hands of Nrsingadev, he falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his prowess. Thereafter, taking a little rest from the fight, he took up his sword and shield and again attacked the Lord with great force. Making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, who was extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu. So there's some laughter there. This is also related to the Rus theology I'm going to be talking about. So he's laughing, and it's not only laughing, but shrill. Shrill means like a very high register. Like something, very high, not low. It means like that. Anyway, that's shrill. So you got to understand this word. The Supreme Personality of God, Narayan, who is extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu, who was protecting himself with his sword and shield, leaving no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu moved sometimes in the sky and sometimes on the earth, his eyes closed because of fear of Nrsingadev's laughter. Listen to this. His eyes closed because of fear of Nrsingadev's laughter. He was afraid of the laughter of Lord Nrsingadev. It's amazing. And then the last verse. As a snake captures a mouse, or Garuda captures a very venomous snake. There's that Garuda again. 3 times in these verses, Garuda is mentioned in relationship to Krishna. And it's interesting, in the other pastimes where Krishna kills the demons in Vrindavan, I don't remember Garuda being mentioned. So this is a very special pastime, the Kaliya serpent pastime, because Krishna is playing with Kaliya serpent. And of course, he doesn't kill him. That's also another special thing. And then Garuda is mentioned. Anyway, as a snake captures the mouth, or Garuda captures the venomous snake, Lord Nrsingadev captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As Hiranyakashipu moved his limbs here and there, all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Nrsingadev placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hands. That's very nice. So, anyway, so another instance, of course, where the Lord played with the demon is Haranyaksha. Same thing. Same thing happened. I see Hastasaki likes Haranyaksha a lot. His favorite demon. So, so it's the same thing that happened. The demigods were all worried, uh, and the devotees were all worried, and basically, Lord Brahma and the demigods said, "Pray, dispatch him before it becomes twilight hours," because the interesting thing about twilight hours is that's the time when the demons come out. I hate to tell you, and that's the time when devotees are supposed to go to sleep. Actually, Krishna says in the Gita, what's nighttime for the self realized sage is daytime for the rascals. I'm paraphrasing, and vice versa. So, unfortunately, nowadays, the devotees, they like to stay up late at night. Like we have some devotees here from New Zealand who love to stay up late at night, and they don't like to get up early in the morning. So, anyway, so the nighttime, especially the twilight, is actually a time for demons. So devotees should sleep early at night and get up early in the morning because that's the time for devotees. And all yogis do that. That's just part of the yoga process. That's part of bhakti yoga. It's part of hatha yoga. It's part of all the different types of yoga. But unfortunately, devotees think, not all devotees, but many devotees think the nighttime is a time for fun, but it's a time to rest, not fun. Fun is in the morning right now. For some of us, it's the morning. For some of you, it's the time of the demons. For those in New Zealand, you're in demon time. So, anyways, I know you're watching. This is fine. I'm not criticizing you for watching. So, so what happens here with Kalia, which is actually different than the other demons that Krishna was dealing with, was that basically all this is a point I wanted to explain, and I think it's really important. Then the Kaliya pastime, all the rasas, that is the direct rasas and indirect rasas, are being manifest to their fullness. So you have the direct rasas. Okay. So the direct rasas, of course, Shantaras, Dasharas, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, Madhuryaras. Okay. So you got the devotees. All right, let's talk about the devotees. The devotees of all those different rasas, or who are, let's say, absorbed in those different rasas, are actually there watching this happen. This is one of the pastimes, the few pastimes, where every devotee in Vrindavan is watching. Every devotee in Vrindavan is watching because you got Yashodamai there, and of course you got the trees there, which are in the Shantaras, especially the tree that Krishna jumped off of. And, and a lot of the grass, everything Shantaras there. And you got the servants of Krishna who are watching. You got the friends of Krishna who are watching. You got the gopis, of course, who are watching, the mother and father of Krishna who is watching, the brother of Krishna, Balaram, who is watching. So you got those 5 direct rasas there. Okay? So you got the 5 direct rasas. And incidentally, it's mentioned in the, later on when Krishna dances on the heads of the Kaliya serpent, it's mentioned that in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, that Krishna actually dances with the gopis on the heads of the Kaliya serpent. That's not mentioned in the Bhagavatam. But that Krishna, in certain pastimes in the spiritual world, Krishna actually grabs the gopis. He extends his arm. I guess it's a extendable arm. and he grabs the gopis and he puts them with him on top of the heads of the Kaliya serpent. So he's actually dancing the rasa dance or a rasa dance on the heads of the Kaliya serpent. And everybody's watching the rasa dance, which is pretty amazing. So normally, I mean, you don't find Yashoda Mai and the Coward Boys watching Krishna dance with the gopis. It's not really, as they say in India, cricket. So it's not really something that normally happens. So this pastime is something that just like it's so big, it's so complete in terms of rasa theology, in terms of the devotees there, that is incredible. So I want to talk about the indirect rasas too, because we mentioned the direct rasas, Shanta, Dasha, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. But also the indirect rasas are fully present there too. Let's start with them. Okay. First one is Hasya. Hasya, of course, means humor. I mean, Krishna is extremely humorous here in dealing with the Kaliya serpent. I mean, Krishna is really enjoying himself, having a good time. And then the second indirect rasa is called Adbhuta. Adbhuta means basically shock. And the residents of Vrindavan are experiencing extreme shock. So while Krishna's dancing on the Kali serpent, he's also laughing. He's having a good time. He's enjoying himself. Just like we described previously about Lord Nrsingadev killing Hiranyakashipu. Then he had shrill laughter. You understand? Shrill, I mean, I actually imitated what shrill laughter was. And so the shrill laughter, that's Hasya. And so then Adbhuta, like Adbhuta Sringam, that's described about Lord Nrsingadev, of course. The shock, shock. And then the next indirect rasa is called Vira. Vira, of course, means heroism, someone who's very strong or heroic. Just like Prabhupada gave me that name. Of course, he spoke in Bengali, so he said Bira or Bira Krishna. And devotees often ask me, what does it mean? Did Prabhupada name you after some alcoholic beverage or something like that? And my answer is no. It's Bengalicized Vira, just like Prabhupada would pronounce Vrindavan as Brindavan, Brindavan. So there's a B instead of a V when you're in Bengal. Like Brindavan. That was how Prabhupada pronounced Vrindavan. So, and also Balaram, Balaram, etc. Anyway, so the point is this Vira Ras, like heroic. Krishna is like heroic. And it's described in by Lord Kapiladev, Mama Virya Sambhada, that one listens to the heroic pastimes of Krishna can actually, Bhavanti Vritkarna Rasayana Katat, one of my favorite verses, Jajoshana Dashu Apavarga Vartmani Shraddha Ratira Bhakti Anukaramishati, he can progress very quickly in the path of devotional service. Because when we hear about Krishna's heroic activities, it increases our own abhaya, freedom from fear. That's why it says Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi Jnana Yoga Vavastati, 16th chapter of the Gita. Then one becomes fearless, just, Krishna's able to take care of all these demons. Hiranyakashipu and Kaliya and all these other people. So that's Vira. And then the next ras is called Karuna. Karuna, of course, means merciful. It's not like corona, like the virus that you're all thinking about. Karuna. So Krishna is being very merciful to Kaliya, because what he's going to do with Kaliya is dance on Kaliya's head. And I mean, to have Krishna dance on your head. Phew. I mean, that's pretty good. I wouldn't mind that because the Krishna's lotus feet, like right on your head. I mean, that's the epitome. That's the essence of karuna, of compassion, where Krishna just puts his feet on your head. So there's karuna ras there. Let's go through the other ones. Uh, Rodra is the next one. Rodra means like anger, like Rudra principle. So Krishna is also experiencing anger towards Kaliya for what he's done to killing the cows or any entity who went near the Kaliya lake. And then Kali is also experiencing. So you have these different rasas are also experienced by Krishna. Krishna is known as Rasa Raj. He's the king of all rasas. So Krishna is experiencing these different rasas. The devotees are experiencing these different rasas, and certainly the devotees are probably angry at Kaliya too for capturing Krishna or thinking that Krishna has been captured by them, by Kaliya. Sorry, and Kaliya is angry. You hear about this. Kali is just like this is Roja Ras, where Kali is just like super angry at Krishna. I'm going to teach this guy a lesson. He's proud. So you got this Roja Ras. Bhayanaka is the next one. Bhayanaka basically means fear. So Kali eventually becomes a little fearful, but the devotees in Vrindavan who are watching this particular pastime, they're experiencing extreme fear for Krishna. What's going to happen with Krishna? So this extreme fear, like the feeling of separation, vipralamba, brings them closer to Krishna. You see, Krishna puts the devotees in these fearful conditions, and in Vrindavan, fearful, what's going to happen to Krishna. So that the devotees will actually meditate on Krishna more, because when you're meditating out of fear, you're really meditating. I mean, again, I'll explain my own experience. When I was coming back from Fiji and I was meditating on the coronavirus, I had a mask on and just like, oh my God, everybody I looked at was a source of fear. Oh my God, do they have the virus? Washing my hands like Lady Macbeth. Yeah, I don't know. You ever read Shakespeare, out, damn spot. It's just like almost becoming obsessive compulsive about washing hands. Every time I saw one of these hand washing stations in the airport, I ran up to it. And every 10 minutes, I was washing my hands. So that's fear. So you're thinking about something out of fear. It's really intense. And the final one is Bibhatsa, the final and direct rus. Bibhatsa means ghastliness. So here's Kaliya. Like it's described what I was talking about previously. Kaliya's mouth is open and balls of fire are coming from his mouth. And he had a lot of bad breath too. But anyway, so it was just like completely ghastly. See this snake. Snakes are ghastly anyway. Just ordinary snakes are ghastly. But seeing this snake with a fire coming from his eyes, fire coming from his mouth. So in other words, anyway, don't want to belabor the point. So all these different rasas were exhibited before all the residents of Vrindavan. It was a complete exhibition of rasa theology, a complete absorption rasa theology. So this pastime is very unique, very, very unique. And I'll just reiterate, because Krishna played with the demon, didn't kill the demon, and all of his devotees witnessed it, and all the rasas were present there simultaneously. So that's this particular pastime. So I thought I'd share that with you. Don't have time to go on to the next verse, So we can take questions at this particular point about this ecstatic pastime, and it was intense. I mean, it was really an intense pastime with all these things going on simultaneously. All the rest is going on simultaneously. That means you can't imagine how much intensity there was in the atmosphere at that particular time. And Krishna enjoys that. And that brings the devotees closer to Krishna, the meditation on Krishna. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. So, in other words, Tivra Bhakti, actually, let me go on a little bit before I take questions. Uh, the price of devotional service is sometimes listed as lolyam or intense hankering. And the word used in Bhagavatam is Tivra, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param. Then one has to be very forceful and intense. And if you hear about the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, you'll see that Prabhupada was always very intense. That means really focused and intense in his devotional service and thinking about the goal all the time. Uh, and that's really how we have to become like the residents of Vrindavan were when they were observing the Kalyanag. And then we can become successful in devotional service. That's the price, not just relaxed devotional service. I was listening to a class, I think it was this morning, where Prabhupada was talking about, just someone who sits down and in a temple does a little puja and doesn't preach Krishna consciousness or doesn't at least help the preachers in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said we are fighters. Prabhupada said we should become like Arjuna, not sit down devotees. So we all have this opportunity to fight for Krishna, not fight, physically for Krishna. Actually, I was listening to a class this morning where Prabhupada was talking about how we have to fight for Krishna. This was a physical fight, not physical punch and everything like that. What happened is that the government in London got very upset with our Rath Yatra, and they prohibited us from having a Rath Yatra because this big cart was going down the street blocking everything, and there were 20,000 people there celebrating the Rath Yatra, even in the beginning, because there's a large Indian population in London, always has been for the last, let's say, 100, 200 years. So Prabhupada said we should mount a protest. Prabhupada was talking about, he was really angry in this particular class that I was listening to this morning. He was really angry. He says, there's so many people from India, and we should declare, even Prabhupada used the Hindu term at this particular point, they're stopping us from our religious rights. And then Prabhupada was saying, sorry if any of you from the UK right now, but Prabhupada was saying, America would never do that. God bless America. I'm American. Anyway, and Prabhupada was commenting that in America, they never stopped the Rath Yatra. But in UK, Prabhupada was criticizing the UK. Forgive me if anyone is online from the UK, but how they exploited India and everything like that. And then Prabhupada said we should mount a protest and get all of the Hindus to say that they're stopping us from performing our religious duties. And then Prabhupada said you should put the cart right in the middle of Trafalgar Square and say, we're not going to interfere with the streets. We're just going to leave the cart there until you agree to change. And then we'll take the deities out in a palanquin, Prabhupada said. And then, anyway, so Prabhupada was very much into, like, he said Prabhupada was talking about nonviolent protests. So Prabhupada also had a real fighting spirit like that. We should not put up with being restricted. Why should the UK do something that they're not doing in the wonderful America? Prabhupada actually liked America. Sorry, this is not a political speech. Prabhupada actually liked America very much. He considered himself, just wait, Adiguru will let you ask a question in a second. So anyway, so Prabhupada liked fighting sometimes for Krishna. Prabhupada was a fighter. I mean, what to speak of in Bombay, what Prabhupada did, fighting Mr. Nair, using politics to fight Mr. Nair. You know, like Prabhupada one time was speaking to Mr. Nair, and Prabhupada started yawning. Prabhupada basically never yawned, but he yawned to make Mr. Nair tired. And Mr. Nair said, "You look very tired, Swamiji." And Prabhupada said, "Yes, I am tired." And then he sent Mr. Nair to go to sleep, and Prabhupada said to Tamal Krishna Maharaj to check to see if Mr. Nair and his guru were asleep, but not to wake up the guru and to let Mr. Nair come back. And then Mr. Nair, in a half asleep state, was able to be fooled by Prabhupada into signing the contract again. You know, if you ever want someone to do something, make sure they're half asleep. Then it's very easy to convince them. Actually, one time devotees got a let's say a positive review of one of Srila Prabhupada's books by approaching a professor who was drunk. And the devotees wrote the review and then asked the professor to sign it. Very tricky. I mean, later on, the professor got upset and they said, "Well, you agreed with this review, you know, you were drunk." So I'm not saying we should do that. But Prabhupada was sometimes very strategic and a real fighter. He understood everything, including politics. So on that happy note, so any questions or comments from anybody? Uh, let Adi Guru come first because he raised his hand first. So speak now.
Gurudev, that's a very nice discourse. But I have one, just a small question. So
Yeah.
we know the history of, I mean, how Kalia came to River Narmada, like Vrindavan, because of chased by Garuda and all that. And so,
Yes.
so why is this special mercy being shown by Krishna on Garuda? And then he even showed him the right place to go and hide. Um, why is this mercy on
What you
Kali?
mean on Kali? Was Kali has shown great mercy? We explained that in a previous class 2 days ago. That Kali was actually a devotee.
Yep.
He was a devotee named, I think, Vedashira, and he was meditating, and he wouldn't give hospitality to another sage. And so the sage actually cursed him because you were envious and you were acting like a snake. You know, sometimes, like, if people want to, let's say they want to come in and share your house or something like that, you just look at them, what? Or let me use a better example. Let's say you're sitting down to eat prasadam, and all of a sudden someone comes in and says, "I'm hungry." You just go, ah. You know, just when I'm getting ready to eat. And so he treated a sage like that. He was a devotee. He treated a sage like that, and then he got cursed to become a snake because he was acting like hissing like a snake. And you'll see that happens if someone interferes with our sense gratification. We actually hiss like a snake. I've seen even devotees do that sometimes. So Kali was actually a devotee and he got purified. Actually, many of the demons were actually sages and they got cursed because if you read like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary and also uh, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentaries on the demons in Krishna Lila, you'll see that. And so he got special mercy because he was actually a devotee. And I mean, look at Manigriva and Nalakuvara.
Yeah.
They were actually devotees too.
Mm.
And that's why they got special mercy. Of course, they had to spend a long time as trees. And it's described that Kalia actually appreciated Krishna's beauty too. Uh, was one of the first things. But then he thought Krishna is too proud and he was trying to curb Krishna's pride. So all these different emotions were going through Kalia. So
Thank you, Guru.
thank you for your question. Who else has a question? I think Asasaki had a question. Okay, Asasaki, why don't you ask your question?
Hare Krishna, you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Thank you, Gurudev. This is very inspiring. Um, uh, my question is that in Kaliya story, also the wives of the Kaliya present very nice and elevated
Yeah.
prayers for Krishna, and they kind of play a role in this pastime, and
Yeah.
they also kind of contribute to this great variety of the emotions and rasas. And can you comment on this?
Yeah, well, that of course that's later on in this particular chapter of the Bhagavatam, and the wives are actually great devotees. And Prabhupada commented that generally, and I mentioned this the other day, that generally in any religious ceremony you'll find many more women than men because they're soft-hearted, and the men are actually very hard-hearted. They're just like always trying to, like you see, Kali, he's just trying to prove himself. And the women are more into relationships and compassion. So also by the mercy of the wives of Kalia, Kalia was actually forgiven because of that, because of them being great devotees, and they were related. I mean, or Kalia was related to great devotees. So that's also another point, that if you have one person in your family who's a devotee, he actually can liberate you and give you Krishna's mercy. He or she can give you Krishna's mercy. Like Prabhupada said, that one sandalwood tree in a forest can make the whole forest fragrant. So, yes, the wise were actually great devotees. They knew better. They weren't poisonous. Like, that's what, all right. I better not be too feminist right now. Anyways, I get in trouble in the Hare Krishna movement. That's why in many cases the women would make very good gurus, better than, better than the men. Okay. All right. Who else has a question? Nalini Kant, you have a question.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna Gurudev. Thank you very much for lecture and explaining us. Gurudev, you mentioned that all the rasas uh, uh, are manifested, exhibited to its fullest.
In this particular pastime, yeah.
Past. How about direct rasas? You, like
I already mentioned direct rasas. We had all the devotees of the direct rasas watching this.
okay. So how do I understand like Madhurya Rasa and Shanta Rasa experienced by devotees?
When Madhurya Rasa, that's the gopis. The gopis were watching this and they were experiencing seeing their most dear beloved boyfriend. It's all right. It's all right if you're in
Okay.
Vrindavan and Krishna's your boyfriend. Normally, boyfriends and girlfriends are not a good idea, but in this particular case, the gopis were watching and they were feeling, the love for Krishna within their particular ras, because the devotees from all the different rasas were there. Is that you understand?
And Shanta Rasa?
Yes, the
Yes,
trees,
Gurudev.
the trees. I mean, all the living entities. Try to
Okay.
understand. All the living entities in Braj are fully conscious. So it's not that the trees were
Okay.
unconscious. Like Prabhupada said, you can even speak to a sweet ball, you know, and talk before you eat the sweet ball. Of course, the sweet ball, you can eat the sweet ball, and the sweet ball will continue to exist. That's the nature of the spiritual world. So, I mean, it's hard. I can't even understand how to talk to a sweet ball. In fact, I don't eat sweet balls because they're not good for my health. But in the spiritual world, uh, you don't have to worry about your health. There's no doctors there. So I guess you won't be able to go
Yeah.
back to the spiritual world because there's no doctors in the spiritual world. There's nurses because they're nursing
Wait.
Krishna. They're in the
Yes. Yeah.
parental relationship. You understand?
Relationship.
They're
Yes.
nursing Krishna. So they have a similar relationship to Yashoda, Yashoda Mai. All right.
Guru, uh,
Yes.
during like Bhakti Shastri classes, I heard that devotees not they do not try to get into Shantarasa because it leads to merging into Brahma Jyoti, something like that.
Yeah. Well, Shantaras. Let's be more specific about that. That pure Shantaras is not something that you experience in Vrindavan. The Shantaras in Vrindavan has to be mixed with a little bit of dasha. Like you say, the trees are Shantaras in Vrindavan, in Goloka. But they're also serving Krishna too. You know, the fruits, every tree has fruits in Vrindavan, every tree provides shade in Vrindavan. But when you got pure Shant Ras, that's really not something a devotee aspires for. The devotee, the constitutional position of a devotee is Jivera Swarupahoina Cha Krishna Das, servant. So there has to be some servitude to be in Vrindavan. But you can be primarily Shanta with some servitude. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes, Guru. Thank you very much.
But pure Shanta Ras, no devotee should aspire for. But you can be a tree in Vrindavan. There's nothing wrong with that, and you're serving Krishna. But you're not. Your primary ras is not dasha ras. It's shanta. Shanta mixed with dasha.
Okay, Guru.
Does that make sense? Because
Yes,
you're
Guru.
seeing the greatness. See, Shanta ras. Let me unpack that a little bit. Shanta means just like Krishna is great. He's amazing, and so you have a little mixture of that in dasha ras too. Of course, dasha ras, most servants are serving Krishna in a unreverent mood. And Sakya Ras, some of the servants, some of the coward boys, sorry, some of the friends of Krishna are actually looking up to Krishna. Krishna has friends who are younger than him. Krishna has friends who are equal. Krishna has friends who are older than him. And depending on that, there's different degrees of on reverence.
Yes.
And in Vatsalya, there's no on reverence. In where one is Krishna's mother, or father, or nurse, like that, and certainly in the gopis' relationship, Madhurya, there's no awe and reverence.
Yes.
But there's still, but servitude is a constant factor in all the different rasas in Braj. Like the gopis, they have actually perfected or developed their servitude to the highest degree. You understand?
Yes.
And even there's some like parental mood in the gopis to protect Krishna. The gopis are worried when Krishna is going out in the pasture and he's barefooted, and they're thinking, he couldn't even stand the pain of putting his feet on our breasts. What to speak of he's walking on the thorns out there. So that's a tinge of parental right there. They're very worried, protective of Krishna. Certainly during this particular pastime of the Kaliya serpent, the gopis were protective of Krishna. I mean, I can imagine they were praying to Lord Vishnu for Krishna's protection. Because they understood Lord Vishnu, certainly, because there's that story of when Lord Vishnu appeared, Krishna took 2 extra arms, the Chaturbhuj. Chaturbhuj means 4 arms. When Krishna took 2 extra arms and appeared before them to hide from the gopis offered obeisances, and they said, Lord Vishnu, please tell us where Krishna is. So you can imagine that the gopis were also praying for Krishna's protection.
Yes.
So anyway, it's interesting how these rasas are developed In fact, it's just like Prabhupada one time gave the example, like you have earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. When you go from the more subtle elements to the grosser elements, the different sense objects that are present in the elements, as you go to more gross elements, uh, those that are present in the subtler elements become present also in the gross elements. Like you have the sound and ether. You know, ether means just space.
Yes.
It doesn't mean the thing you give people in the hospital, ether, to put them to sleep. It means space. So there's a sound in space. You know, go Hare Krishna. You know, there's
Yes.
some space between me and the microphone. So
Yeah.
there's a sound in ether. But that sound is also present within earth. Like you can put your ear to a solid thing like earth, and then you tap on the earth nearby, and the sound will be transmitted through the earth or through a piece of metal.
Yes.
You know, you see that. Like we used to have this trick when we were young. We would take a string and put it between two cups and make the string real taut and speak into one cup, and the sound would go through the string into the cup within a short distance.
Yes.
So the qualities of the different elements are present within the grosser elements. In the same way, the qualities of the other rasas are present within the Shringara ras, the Madhurya ras.
Yes.
You know, there's servitude. Certainly, servitude is there. Whew. So the gopis, they're ready to serve Krishna, even if they go to hell. They just want Krishna to be happy, and even if they go to hell, they don't care. That's why that whole story was there about taking the dust from their feet to cure Krishna's headache. Okay, any other
Gurudev,
questions?
two
Yeah.
quick question.
Uh-oh.
You mentioned Chaturvyu and Chaturbhuja.
Chaturbhuja. Yeah.
Is there difference in it? With Chaturvyu and Chaturbhuja,
Yeah, it's the same thing.
or something?
Yeah.
And Gurudev, when
Chaturvyu
you
sometimes refers to the incarnations of Krishna, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha.
Anirudh.
Chaturbhuj refers to four arms,
Okay,
which is
Gurudev.
different.
Okay, Gurudev. Gurudev, when you mentioned in this pastime that Krishna expands his hands and like gopis are dancing on the hood of, so that's in Golok Vrindavan, not
That's in
in.
Goloka Vrindavan. Yeah, that's mentioned in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, not in Gokul Vrindavan.
Okay.
So, but these pastimes are eternal. They occur in a little different way in Goloka Vrindavan than they do in Gokul.
Okay, Gurudev.
All right, any other questions?
Thank you, Gurudev.
Well, oh, Jayanti, it's interesting. We got two devotees who live in the same house but are on separate, you know, they're separate internet connections with me. The Astasaki and Jayananda. I just thought that was a little humorous. They're in the same house.
We are not in the same house, Gurudev.
Oh, you're not? Where are you?
No, I'm in a 10 kilometers from home in my working place where I'm trying to film yoga videos.
Oh, that's why. I was thinking you were in the same house.
No.
So you're going to be yoga online now, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it together.
All right, that would be good. Maybe I can learn some yoga too. All right. So who else? Who else has a question?
Hare Krishna, Guru
Jayanti.
Maharaj. Thank you. This previous answer you give me answer before question. Can rasas be mixed? Do you understand? And I have a second question. Can soul, me or you, can rasas be changed? If I'm one day in the mood of friends of Krishna, or tomorrow I'm aunt of Krishna, after tomorrow I'm I don't know, something like that. And no, Gopi, I don't like this rasa
You
very
don't like
much.
it? All right. So,
No,
uh,
I want to be friend
you haven't
or
you have an
aunt.
eternal. Yeah, the answer to the question is you have an eternal rasa, and technically speaking, you could you could do that. It's based on your desire, but generally it doesn't happen. You have an eternal rasa with Krishna.
This is
Whatever
one, and this
whatever
is this.
whatever your rasa is, you will be happy in that rasa. Even if your relationship is with Lord Ramchandra instead of Krishna and Vrindavan, you will be happy in that. Just like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to talk some of his devotees, that is Murari Gupta, into having a different relationship. Murari Gupta was Hanuman, and he was trying to talk him into having a relationship with Krishna instead of with Lord Ram, or at least with Krishna directly. And Murari Gupta couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it. He couldn't handle it
Yes,
because, that was his relate. Whatever your relationship is, you'll be happy.
yes,
Don't
I
worry.
know. Yes, but I
Don't
have
worry. Be
to
happy.
be
Chant
happy.
Hare Krishna, and you'll be
Yes,
happy.
I worry every day because I have some rasas now with fear, because I have a big fear to left the body and forget Krishna, forget Prabhupada,
That's good.
forget service. I'm crazy about that. My mind is a little, and he told me every day, if you die, you forget Krishna because you are not a stable devotee, and I'm all day in the fear. And
That's
I
good.
don't know, but it's not good.
That's fear is great. So in this
Be-
way, you'll always be fearful and remembering Krishna.
because I'm every day in frustration of that. And
Okay, good. You're absorbed in Krishna, and don't worry.
okay,
Don't
okay,
worry. Be happy. Chant
yes,
Hare
I
Krishna.
like dance. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
All right. Be fearful. So any other quick questions? Yes, Alita Sundari.
Can you hear me?
A little louder. You need to be a little louder.
Is this okay or not?
Yeah, if you speak
Yeah.
directly into your microphone.
Okay. My question is it important that from the beginning, so at early stages, one starts cultivating a personal like the relationship with Krishna, that many things come, many rules and everything, and this might be overwhelming, and sometimes Krishna is like forgotten in all this.
Yeah. So that's a good question. Like many rules. Sounds like you're in Slovenia. So I know you're in Slovenia. I mean, I know that. So sometimes they get to all these different rules, and then you forget Krishna. So one has to be practical to accept what's favorable, to reject what's unfavorable. I'll give you a practical example. Like when I do deity worship, I don't count how many circles I do around the deities, with the different implements. Because if I do that, I will forget Krishna. I mean, just practical. I don't want to. Here I am counting. I mean, I like mathematics. That was one of my favorite subject matters in school, mathematics. But I don't like mathematics while I'm doing deity worship. And so, there's a funny story of when I was doing the installation of Radha Golok Bihari in Suva, and Nishinga Kavachas that was there. He's the deity worship minister. And, if you're around the deity worship minister, you want to behave yourself because, he'll get really heavy with you, if you do anything like a little wrong. So I said, I was supposed to do the first arti for the deities after we installed the deities. And I said to him, if you want me to do the arti, you got to sit right at my feet and tell me what to do. because I didn't know what to do. And I didn't really care, about counting like that. So every time I went to offer an implement, I would go, bend down. What am I supposed to do now? He said, do this, count so many circles. Because I was nervous, I behaved myself that time. But normally when I do arti, I just think, Krishna, please accept this. I'm your humble servant, like that. I don't count. So, yeah, if you get into all these things, then you just become very ritualistic and you forget the goal. And that's called, of course, niyam agraha. You have this, that's from Rupa Goswami's instruction, Nectar of Instruction. Achahara prayasascha prajalpam niyamagraha. Niyamagraha means doing the rules and regulations without being conscious of what you're doing. It's like you're a machine. You might as well hire or develop a robot to do RT. You just like develop one of these robots, and curtains open exactly the right time. You can even get machines that cook the offering for you if you like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's practical. That, of course, in the mundane world where they eat meat, they have hamburger machines that actually cook the hamburgers at some of these places. Of course, we don't eat hamburgers, so you can develop a machine robots. I mean, just like go to sleep and let the machines do all the work. So, accept what's favorable, reject what's unfavorable. And I'm not talking about the four regulated principles right now. I'm not saying, hey, if I smoke some marijuana, then I can chant and hear and focus my mind, ecstatico. That's not really the point. The four regulated principles must be followed. There's a reason for following them. You'll be in ignorance and karmically, vikarmically entangled if you don't follow the four regulated principles. Yes, you must follow the four regulated principles. However, other things such as the counting or this mudra or whatever, the mantras, all the mantras. I don't know any mantra except for the Hare Krishna Maha mantra. I mean, of course, I know some. But when I do other mantras, that's true. When I wake my deities up, I have certain mantras, Go Gopa Go, Kulananda, Yasodananda, Vardhana, etc. I do other mantras, but, I do as much as I can do without forgetting Krishna. That's my main point. I mean, I remember one time I was at a temple and we were sharing the bathroom with a ritualistic Brahmin, and I was waiting to use the shower. I said, "What are you doing in the shower so long?" He said, "I'm calling the Ganges down." I said, "Forget about the Ganges. I want to go to Mangalarti." Ganges, actually. I want to go to Mangalarti. I mean, you can call the Ganges down some other time. So many mantras and everything. I mean, for me, it's enough that I put on tilak and say the tilak mantras and chant Hare Krishna, and that's about my capacity at this particular point. And learn a few verses from the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm happy serving Krishna, and read the Bhagavatam. I mean, what else do you want from me? Cool it, And some people like it. It helps them remember Krishna. I'm not criticizing them. They love it. It's just part of their lives, Go for it. But for me, it's chant Hare Krishna, simple living, high thinking. I want to be happy in Krishna consciousness. So all these mantras and mudras and whew, it's not the same movement I joined. Anyway, so hope that answers that question. Do not let anyone else in Slovenia know what I said. Or anyone else in the Balkans. Because a lot of people are into this stuff, like that. They won't chant their rounds, but they'll do all the mantras. they won't wear a mask to prevent themselves from getting the coronavirus, but they'll chant all the mantras. Anyway, be practical. Krishna consciousness is common sense. It's not like impractical. So, any other questions from anybody else? And so the next week I'll be giving class Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That for right now that'll be my standard giving class at this time. I'll be giving class at other times for the people in New Zealand in the next few days, which we'll be announcing because New Zealand has a different time zone. Amala Prema, you want to ask a question?
I wrote the question, Gurudev, but I can ask it. I wrote.
Can you speak louder?
Yes. We hear that when Krishna appears in this world, he brings all his intimate friends with him, and those are the Brajbasis. Are we
Yes.
able to feel such intense emotions for him as they do in this Leela? Because you said that you said in one sentence that the atmosphere was very, very intense, that it was very emotionally intense.
Yes.
So because we are just ordinary souls, we are former mlechas trying to make something out of ourselves in spiritual life. So are we able for that intensity and purity of emotion that they feel?
When we're back with Krishna, we will be able to. when we go to Gokul and take part in Krishna's pastimes, we will. And that's the price. We have to come to that standpoint of having these intense emotions. If we're emotionally dead, it's going to be very hard to make progress in Krishna consciousness. So we have to rev up our emotions, as they say in America, put your pedal to the metal. That's a reference to driving. You have your pedal, gas pedal. You have to do some wheelies. So rev up your. So the point is, we have emotions and they're covered. So instead of having the emotions in relationship to our material things, we should focus our emotions in relationship to Krishna and try to rev them up. Become emotional, not too emotional. Anyway, not in front of me, please. Don't be too emotional. But anyway, so I have enough trouble dealing with people's emotions. So, okay, Gopal, you have a question.
Yes, Gurudev, you spoke several times throughout this class about fear in different contexts. Sometimes you said that fear, we act out of fear and that can lead to bad results, but then also it's part of an indirect rasa. So many devotees were experiencing fear on behalf of Krishna. So are there different types of fear and how to determine which one is favorable and which one is unfavorable?
Well, if the fear helps us remember Krishna, remembers the purpose of life, then it's favorable. It's just the result of the fear. I think you judge the fear by the result. If the fear actually is helping us become Krishna conscious, and certainly, when I go out, of course I haven't gone out in a long time, but if I go out and I see people coughing, it's going to help me remember Krishna. I'm going to just say, Krishna, Krishna. Oh my God, I could die at any moment. So it helps you remember Krishna. A little fear is helpful. But if you're afraid of if you're afraid of your false ego getting like smashed, I mean, that's not so helpful. Protecting my false ego. Actually, you see that sometimes when people have done something wrong and they won't admit it. When I was brought up as a kid, if I did something wrong, which was practically every day, if I admitted it, then I was let off pretty easily. But if I didn't admit it, then I really got chastised badly. So that's interesting. Like I remember so many times I had to see the principal, school, not the principal of religion, but the principal in the school so many times. But I just like admitted that I was wrong. I said, "Oh, I apologize. I'll never do it again." Then I never tried to defend my false ego.
If you went so many times, after a while, you kept apologizing. Didn't he just think that maybe he's not so
No, because
sincere?
I used to be cute when I was young. You know, we get a cute kid who cries, then you actually you have to feel sorry for him.
Great tips, Gurudev.
So anyway, so in other words, because I didn't protect my false ego, I was willing to just be wrong. I mean, I'm. This is a joking thing, but of course, I was willing to admit I was wrong. But oftentimes, you find people they're not willing to admit they're always in fear of what will happen if someone finds out that I'm fallible. You know, sometimes people take the position of guru, and they're afraid of people finding out that they're not perfect. But
So sometimes they may
I'm basically
say,
not afraid. You know, I even use myself as an example many times in this, an example of people doing things that weren't proper. So, what's the question?
so sometimes they may say that, well, I'm protecting my reputation so that people don't lose their faith in their connection to Krishna because I'm a guru, that kind of thing.
No,
So
but
I mean,
but the
it's very
point is
subtle.
that people don't lose their faith if they see you're honest. I mean,
Is that
obviously,
true though? Because
well, I mean,
we've
obviously,
seen so many.
if you have someone who's smoking marijuana, it's not true. But but if someone, I think if people portray themselves as something that they're not, it's dishonest, and ultimately it'll be found out, and people will actually distrust that person. I
Thank you,
think
Gurudev.
whatever position, whatever one is, one should be honest about it. I think honesty is extremely important for medical quality. And I mean, sometimes the Vaishnavas are, in the name of humility, they're saying things that aren't true about themselves, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in his poem, Mama Nivedana Shuno, I have no good qualities, But this is obviously a statement of humility, like that. So, but he's not protecting any ego. You see that with a devotee, with a great devotee, they're never protecting their false ego. They're never interested in profit, adoration, distinction. That's a very important quality. If someone is interested in profit, adoration, distinction, that's subtle sex life. So,
Of course, we see that people who are not so Krishna conscious, like myself, they can't so much distinguish what is false ego and what is, what I need to do to, cultivate justice between myself and my accuser or something of that nature. Sometimes
well, then you
people
need
will confuse
association
the
of
two.
devotees to help you.
Thank you.
But I mean, I find it's very refreshing to be honest. I mean, I don't want to. What do they say? All the world's a stage, and everyone on it is a player. Shakespeare. So, I just want to be whoever I am. I don't want to be someone different. It's just too uncomfortable to be always portraying yourself as going on stage.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. I mean, to be on stage is fun sometimes, like you're an actor. Gopal's actually an expert director, actor, comedian, and he's going to be doing his own show on the internet very soon, a comedy show that's connected with Krishna consciousness. It's called Saturday Morning Live. So anyway, so yes, but everyone has a certain talent, and you have a very good acting, a humor talent, and you can use that to bring people to Krishna consciousness. We all have some skill. Someone's a dancer, they can bring people to Krishna consciousness. Like one of my dear disciples is expert dancer. That's not Gopal, of course. But Champakalata, Champakalata is an expert dancer, and she's bringing so many people to Krishna consciousness by it. So whatever talent you have, use it for Krishna, and go on the internet and do it. That's important. And so right now we're approaching 8 o'clock in the morning, and my talent is to take prasadam. So it's I'm very regulated person, as you know, and I like doing things at the same time every day. And for some of you, like Nalini Kant, you should be sleeping. You should be in bed right now. So we want to thank everybody very much for joining us. And next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll be doing the same thing. But in the meantime, we'll be scheduling different classes and talks and darshans with different people around the world in different places like Europe and in the South Pacific area who are in different time zones. Okay. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Haribol.
Jai.